The European Civil Service is the civil service serving the European Commission. Civil servants are recruited directly into the institutions after being selected by competitions set by the European Personnel Selection Office, the official selection office. They are allocated to departments, known as Directorates-General, each covering one or more related policy areas. Its approximate counterpart in the Council of the European Union would be the General Secretariat to the Council. Directorates-General. The Commission is divided into departments known as Directorates-General, each headed by a Director General, and various other services. Each covers a specific policy area or service such as external relations or translation and is under the responsibility of a European Commissioner. DGs prepare proposals for their commissioners which can then be put forward for voting in the College of Commissioners. Whilst the Commission's DGs cover similar policy areas to the ministries and national governments, European civil servants have not necessarily been trained, or worked, in a national civil service before employment in the EU. On entry, they do not therefore share a common administrative culture. List of Directorates-General The Directorates-General are divided into 4 groups: Policy DGs, External Relations DGs, General Service DGs and Internal Service DGs. Internally, the DGs are referred to by their abbreviations provided below. List of services Hierarchy. During the 1980s, the Commission was primarily dominated by French, German and Italian cultural influences, including a strictly hierarchical organization. Commissioners and Directors General were referred to by their title with greater prestige for those of higher ranks. As one former servant, Dirk-Jan Epping has put it, even after new servants had passed the tough entrance exams, those at the top counted for everything. Those at the bottom counted for nothing. The chef de cabinet of President Jacques Delors, Pascal Lamy, was particularly notable for his immense influence over other civil servants. He became known as the Beast of the Berlaymont, the gendarme and the exocet due to his habit of ordering civil servants, even Directors General, precisely what to do, or else. He was seen as ruling Delors' office with a rod of iron, with no one able to bypass or manipulate him and those who tried being banished to one of the less pleasant European postings. However, since the enlargement of the EU, and therefore the arrival of staff from the many newer member states, there has been a change in the culture of the civil service. New civil servants from northern and eastern states brought in new influences while the Commission's focus has shifted more to participation and consultation. A more egalitarian culture took over with commissioners no longer having a status equivalent to a sun god, and with this new populism, the first women were appointed to the Commission in the 1990s and the service gained its first female Secretary General in 2006. In stark contrast to the 1980s, it is not uncommon to see men without ties and children playing football in the corridors. Grades Staff are divided into a set of grades, from AD5, the most junior administrator grade, to AD16, which is a Director General. Alongside the AD category is AST. It is now possible for civil servants to be promoted from AST to AD grade, not previously possible. However, in practice the grades remain entrenched. While promotion is in theory according to merit, many management posts are now taken by officials parachuted in from member states. Moreover, staff reforms introduced in 2004 have severely reduced the possibilities for career progression and have created divisions within the service, with pre-2004 entrants enjoying greater pay and privileges. According to the Commission's own internal statistics, even though new officials possess an average of 8 years' work experience, it would take an average of over 40 years to climb from AD5 to AD16. Prior to this new system, introduced in the 2000s, civil servants were traditionally divided into 4 categories. A was policy making, B was implementing, C was secretarial and D was drivers and messengers. There were various grades in each category. The major ranks used to be in the form of A7 to A1. Staff. The Commission's civil service is headed by a Secretary General, currently Catherine Day. According to figures published by the Commission, 23,600 persons were employed by the Commission as officials and temporary agents in April 2013. In addition to these, 66 external staff were employed. These are largely people employed on time-limited contracts, staff seconded from national administrations, or trainees. The single largest DG is the Directorate-General for Translation, with 2261 staff. European civil servants are sometimes referred to in the Anglophone press as Eurocrats. High-ranking officials are sometimes referred to as European mandarins. Nationality there are staff from all member states, with the largest group being Belgian, with French and Italian servants following with about 2,500. Most administration is based in the Belgian capital. Often, those states underrepresented in the service tend to have more of their nationals in the higher ranks. Qualifications One of the entry qualifications for the European civil service is that the candidates speak at least two of the official European languages, one of which must be English, French or German. Candidates whose mother tongue is English, French or German must pass the competition for entry in one of the other two official languages. Prior to their first promotion, officials must demonstrate competence in a third EU official language. A candidate also needs to have a first degree in any discipline. The services have traditionally hired candidates with degrees in law, economics, or audit. Competition is tougher for graduates of all other disciplines, although the procedure for the open competitions, known as concours, is now under review. Salary and allowances EU civil and other servants work 40 hours a week, though they are theoretically available 24/7. They receive a minimum of 24 days of leave a year, with additional leave entitlements on grounds of age, grade but no longer distance from home country. The lowest grades receive between a 1.618, brutto each month, while the highest grades receives between a 14,822.86 and a 16,094.79 a month. This salary is taxed by the EU, rather than at the national level. Taxation varies between 8% and 45% depending on individual circumstances. This is paid into the community budget. Earnings are augmented by allowances, such as allowances for those living outside their own country, those who are the principal earner in their household, those with children in full-time education, and those who are moving home in order to take up a position or leaving the service. Earnings are also lowered by various additional taxes and indexes. For a contribution of 2% basic salary, employees are provided with health insurance which covers a maximum of 85% of expenses. Employees have the right to a parental leave of 6 months per person and child during which they obtain an allowance and have the possibility of an extension by further 6 months with a smaller allowance. Salaries were considerably reduced for new entrants from May 1, 2004 onwards as a result of a significant number of reforms effected by Commissioner Neil Kinnock. Staff undertaking the same work may receive very different salaries, depending on their date of recruitment. Careers are also sharply affected, with new staff tending to constitute a second division of workers with limited managerial prospects. As a consequence of these changes, the institutions recruit with difficulty staff from certain countries like UK, Luxembourg, Denmark as wages are the same or lower than in the home country. In some countries the lowest wages are even under the legal minimum salary in the respective country, which raise the question about legality of such terms of employment. In January 2010, the European Commission took the EU member states to court over the member states' refusal to honour a long-standing formula under which wages for the staff of the European institutions are indexed to the salaries of national civil servants. The formula led to a salary adjustment of 3.7% but the Council, representing the member states, was only willing to grant a pay rise of 1.85%. In November 2010, the European Court of Justice ruled that there was no legal basis for the Council to set the pay rise to 1.85%. It has been noted that the ECJ judges who would decide in this case would be themselves to benefit from any salary increase agreed. To be noted that the index is published and applied 1.5 years later, and this delay caused the quarrels like in the 2010 where should be applied the adaptation related to the increases of wages of the national civil servants from 2007-8. While in 2011 the index was already negative. Pensions employees contribute about 11.3% of their basic salary to a pension scheme. Pensions are paid as a percentage of the final basic salary, with a ceiling of 70%, at an accrual rate of 1.8% per year of service. The pensionable age for staff entering service as of January 1, 2014 is 66 years. Early retirement is possible as of 58 years but at a reduced pension. A pension reduction coefficient of 3.5% is applied for each year before the pensionable age, except that for staff in place on January 1, 2014 the pension reduction coefficient is 1.75 for years not worked above the age of 60. Before January 1, 2014, the pensionable age had been 60 years for those who entered service before May 1, 2004. And 63 years for those who entered service on May 1, 2004 or later. Early retirement had been possible as of 55 years. To mitigate the changes, transitional pension rules were put in place for staff in place on January 1, 2014. Staff already aged 54 years or older on January 1, 2014 could still retire in 2014 or 2015 at the age of 56 years or in 2016 at the age of 57 years, albeit with application of the pension reduction coefficient. Furthermore, for staff between 55 and 60 years of age on January 1, 2014, the pensionable age increased to between 60 and 61 years and for younger staff in place it increased to between 61 and 65 years. Other criticisms: it has been alleged that, for want of a common administrative culture, European civil servants are held together by a common mission, which gives DGs a particularly enthusiastic attitude to the production of draft legislation regardless of the intentions of the Commissioner. They are also notably bound by their common procedures, which have become a sacred right in the absence of a common administrative culture. The Secretariat-General, knowing all on such procedures, hence have a semi-divine status in the Commission's ranking, just below the President's Cabinet. There has been some criticism that the highly fragmented DG structure wastes a considerable amount of time in turf wars as the different departments and commissioners compete with each other, as is the case in national administrations. Furthermore, the DGs can exercise considerable control over a commissioner unless the commissioner learns to assert control over his/her staff. The DGs work closely with the commissioner's cabinet. While the DG has responsibility for preparation of work and documents, the cabinet has responsibility for giving the commissioner political guidance. However, in practice both seek a share of each other's work. It has been alleged that some DGs try to influence decision-making by providing commissioners with briefing documents as late and large as possible, ensuring that the commissioner has no time to do anything but accept the version of facts presented by the DG. In doing this the DG is competing with the cabinet, which acts as a bodyguard for the commissioner. See also, College of Europe, European Union Civil Service Tribunal. References: Epping, Dirk Jan. Life of a European Mandarin, Inside the Commission. Translated by Ian Connerty. Schult, Belgium, Lanu. ISBN 978-90-209-7022-7. Further reading: Epping, Dirk Jan. Ian Connerty. Life of a European Mandarin, Inside the Commission. Schult, Belgium, Lanu. ISBN 978-209-7022-7. External links: European Commission Civil Service, Europa, Opportunities in Europe UK Cabinet Office, Careers, 2. See also, Centre for Adaptation of Civil Service to the Standards of EU, public institution established by the Decree of Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine to facilitate administrative reform in Ukraine and to enhance the adaptation of the civil service to the standards of the European Union.